straight to business. Cami is with us here on set, starting with a big announcement, major news of the day from Apple, really, isn't it?
It's the end of an era for the tech firm. Tim Cook announcing he'll be stepping down as CEO of Apple effective on the 1st of September. He'll be replaced by the company's head of hardware engineer, John Ternus, who's an Apple veteran himself, having been at the company for 25 years. He's got big shoes to fill, though, after Cook led the company to reach a $4 trillion market cap through steady building of existing products introduced by Steve Jobs. Ternus now has to figure out Apple's path in the new AI landscape. Brian Quinn takes a closer look.
After 15 years at the core of the world's premier consumer tech company, Tim Cook is stepping down as Apple's CEO. In a statement, Cook expressing his appreciation for the experience.
I feel a gratitude that I cannot put into words, that I somehow got to be the leader of a company that ignites imaginations and enriches lives in such profound ways it defies description. What an honor and a privilege it has been.
Cook took over from visionary co-founder Steve Jobs in 2011, just before Jobs' death from cancer. Building on the momentum of hit innovations like the iMac, iPod, and iPhone developed under Jobs' leadership, Cook grew the company into one of the most profitable in the world. From a market value of just over $350 billion at the start of his tenure, by 2018, Apple would become the first trillion-dollar company, now valued at more than $4 trillion. Its annual profit more than quadrupling to $110 billion last year. During that time, Cook has had to navigate an increasingly complex geopolitical situation, especially since the arrival of Donald Trump in the White House and his ensuing trade war with one of Apple's key suppliers, China. While his leadership has been deft, under it, Apple has not launched any major groundbreaking new products. Its Apple Vision Pro headset largely a bust. Meanwhile, it's mostly sat on the sidelines of the AI race. Many are looking to Cook's successor to push the company into new territory. As a hardware engineer with 25 years at the firm, John Ternus has the background to do so, and big shoes to fill.
Yeah, Tim Cook, off he goes. Next, a London think tank has released a new report on energy. It's promising for the environment, isn't it?
The data collected by Ember shows that for the first time in modern history, renewable energy accounted for nearly 34% of electricity generation globally in 2025, overtaking coal. Coal power saw its share fall just below a third of global generation, and electricity generated from fossil fuels more generally fell by 0.2%. The IEA says demand for electricity grew by 3% in 2025, and this report shows that growth was met by renewable sources. It's record growth in solar, particularly in China and India, that were the driving factor, with wind power also accounting for a large share. Let's hear from one of the data analysts from the think tank on what this means going forward.
The big difference to 10, 15 years ago, where governments were pledging a build out of renewables, is that now those pledges are much more believable. The drive towards renewables is no longer just founded on policy commitments and government policy. It is founded on an economic viability of those generating sources as they're competitive and cheaper than their fossil fuel alternatives. And that really changes the dynamic in the energy transition, where we're moving from a heavily policy-supported environment to one that can move by itself and has momentum behind it.
And finally from Cami, Donald Trump's nominee to succeed the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is facing the Senate this Tuesday for his confirmation hearing.
A critical public test for Kevin Warsh as he gets grilled by the Senate Banking Committee later today. He'll be delivering a speech that determines how he plans to reshape monetary policy and whether he leans more towards protecting the Fed's independence or appeasing Donald Trump. In a preview of his speech, it would appear he'll insist that the central bank must be largely independent of political influence, but it also features familiar criticism that the Fed has often overstepped boundaries. To give you an idea of where he stands, this was him last May.
The central bank's going on more than 100 years, and if they reform themselves, they're going to have another great 100. I believe this administration inherited a mess, a fiscal and monetary mess, and it is incumbent on the administration to get out of it. No one said it would be easy. We didn't get into this mess overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight.
Trump announced in late January that Warsh would be his pick to succeed Jerome Powell, whose term expires in May. There's some opposition from Republican Senator John Ternus, who's blocking the confirmation on the grounds of the investigation Trump launched into Powell over the Fed's building renovation to pressure him out. Pretty ironic. That could now end up delaying Warsh's confirmation, keeping Powell in his seat for longer. We'll, of course, be following all of those developments.
Kemi, thanks very much. Kemi Knight with business for us on France 24.